Well, hey everybody, I'm John Ritland, and this is Hashtag Ask for Honesty, episode 24. And yes, this series is back after a temporary hiatus. I hope you guys didn't think this series was going away. Really, I just needed to push back, push some shows to the side because I was burned out mentally, physically, and also I was working a lot and covering the New Japan G1 Climax tournament and the WWE events and all other stuff and everything and retro reviews and stuff like that. It just got to be too much. I needed to cut something just temporarily. This series will not go away as long as you guys keep asking great questions like you have been. And really, if it wasn't for your guys' questions, this series wouldn't exist. So I do want to thank you guys for that. But I don't want you to think I was ignoring you. If anybody asked me any questions from the last episode to like before these questions I wrote down, if you're wondering why I didn't answer your questions, I wasn't ignoring you. I just wasn't writing any questions down because I didn't know when I was going to get back into this series. So again, if I missed any of your guys' questions, if you sent them to me in DM and I just forgot to write them down, please make sure to tell me because I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm never ignoring you guys. I got a bunch of different shit that I'm doing. That's really just what it is. I got a bunch of notes and stuff like that, and I might have misplaced it. I simply might have, and I may have not written it down because I was so goddamn busy. But I appreciate every single person that sends me questions, sends me anything. So thank you guys very much. But if you want to send a question, please leave a comment below this very video with up to 4 questions. Let's just do that. If it's ever 5 questions or more, I'm going to answer in detailed ways 4 of them, and then 5 and 6 or whatever are probably going to be answered, but not answered as in depth. And I hope that makes sense. Or find me on Twitter. Check the pinned tweets that I put up. I'm going to at least try to put it up once a week. Use the hashtag Ask for Honesty. Ask me wrestling, music, or movie-related questions. Or, like I said, you can also DM and send your 4 questions there. It doesn't have to be 4 questions. You can just ask 1. But I'm giving you the options on what you can do. So anyway, running that down and explaining why the series was on hiatus. I'm going to start off with some questions here from AJA T800, Stone Cold Stunner Sellers, ranked from worst to best. I'm going to give you a couple that I think were really, really good. The Rock, Shane. I thought Triple H did some funny ones, but Rock and Shane would be the best ones that I could think of. Vince, mainly because you just like seeing Vince get his ass kicked. That's really what it came down to. Worst, Trump, but Trump never did an athletic thing in his life. And also Linda McMahon. Those kind of make sense. I guess RVD was okay with how he sold it, but it's just like, really, besides maybe some of the celebrities or, hating on Linda McMahon or Trump, like, I really can't think of too many people that sold it all that badly. And Vince wasn't the best seller of it, especially like, that one in Madison Square Garden, September 22nd, 1997. Had to briefly think about the day because it was like, wait, when was it? It was a whole thing where, well, hell, you can kiss my ass, and then Vince, who's not athletic at all, like falls over Austin after he gets kind of kicked in the groin and everything, which was kind of funny. But yeah, I would say Rock and Shane and then Linda McMahon and Trump would be the worst ones. If I went through every single person who sold the Stone Cold Stunner, we'd be here all day. But those are the ones that leap out in my mind. So I hope I answered your question decently. Second one, favorite variations, adaptations of DDP's Diamond Cutter. I really just liked whenever he could hit it just from out. Like, the one that I really liked is what he did with Goldberg. When he kept at Halloween Havoc 98, where he just kept focusing on his shoulder and everything. And then Goldberg tried to jackhammer, and then DDP just hit that Diamond Cutter right there. I liked the one that he hit in the Superdome when he, got to Diamond Cut Scott Hall. That was pretty damn cool. Like he put on the NWO shirt, yay, and everything, and then shook his hand and took it and did the Diamond Cutter. There's a whole lot of great variations of what DDP, the Diamond Cutter, buried in the RKO 10 out of 10 times. You can fight me on that if you want. Not that Orton isn't really good with how he hits the RKO, but the Diamond Cutter to me will always stick. Other than that, there are a whole bunch of leap out of my mind because he was always constantly wanting to invent other moves. I did like when he was La Parka, dressed as La Parka, and he hit the Diamond Cutter on Randy Savage, rather, when he, was DDP dressed up as La Parka. That was pretty damn cool. He did that, and that was a really, really fun one. I like the one, I think it was Spring Stampede 97, where DDP got his lone win over Randy Savage. That was pretty good stuff. Other than that, can't really think of much. I can't. but he was always really good to, just come up with a creative way to do the Diamond Cutter. Even in his appearances when he's in, like when he was in the 2015 Rumble, and he just hit one, and it's like I fucking popped like crazy because it was like I was a kid again. I didn't mind him being used there because I knew he wasn't going to win the Royal Rumble. It was cool he was there. So those are some variations I can think of. And then for a horror movie related question, for his third question, which do you find scarier for a horror film? Lots of blood, gore, or psychological? A psychological thriller, basically. Psychological tends to be better when done right because you can mix some blood and gore in there. If you just do straight blood and gore, you become the Saw franchise or Hostel, all that torture porn bullshit, which I don't really like. And I know that sounds kind of funny with how, kind of vile and whatever and everything that I could be, sometimes like with the jokes and everything that I make and how much I talk about horror movies on Twitter and even on here. I did a review of Midsommar, which I hope I pronounced right. I'm not going to be able to put a link up there, but you can check it out on the channel. That was about, good Lord, that was about 700 views. So really, thank you guys very much for that. The blood and gore stuff, I don't mind blood. I don't mind gore. I don't like the torture porn aspect of this stuff. I really, really don't. I prefer psychological horror. I think that's a lot scarier. You can do a lot more shit with that. If you just do blood and gore, you're just doing it where you're just trying to amp it up here and there and raise the bar and raise the bar and raise the bar and do all that shit, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Ultimately, psychological horror is better. And then we go to at Jeremy8911. If Balor takes a break after SummerSlam, could you see him turning heel when he returns and join the OC? This is nothing against your question at all, Jeremy. I will answer that in a second. I want to say right off the bat, the OC name is stupid. It's a fucking atrocity. It does not pass the name test. It makes it very hard for me to take Gallows, Anderson, and Styles seriously, as much as they look like they're having fun. They really do look like they're having fun. Also, they're not the original club. Gallows and Anderson, maybe. They were part of the Bullet Club and actually were pretty goddamn over and everything. Styles? No. Styles went to New Japan in I think it was sometime in 2014, which made sense. And he was there for a couple years, and then he left right after Wrestle Kingdom 10, I believe. But they're not they're not the original club or whatever, the only club that matters. It's like they got a tree house or something like that. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. Yes, I could see Balor doing that. They would have to put them all in the same brand. Don't do any of this wildcard bullshit, wildcard rule bullshit. Get rid of that. Yes, I could see Balor totally turning heel. And I think it would actually benefit him really well. Balor is a very likable guy, but if you've seen any of his stuff, and I had to go back in the archives once I got New Japan World at Wrestle Kingdom 12, in the beginning of 2018. I finally went back and watched some of Balor's run as a heel, and holy shit, if you have not seen Balor's run as a heel, I mean, I've only seen a few matches, but if you have not seen his fucking run as a heel in New Japan, you are doing yourself a disservice. The guy was absolutely amazing. I mean, he got the fans that hate him, but it was because he was so goddamn good. And you can see some Balor influences with Jay White. I mean, they're totally different styles and everything, but you can see it. I mean, and there's a connection there with that. It sort of makes sense. But yes, I could totally see Balor coming back and joining Styles, Gallows, and Anderson. I'm going to call them that because the OC name is stupid, and I kind of want to puke every damn time I hear that name, just because it's dumb. I just think it's a dumb name, and I don't get the point of it. Taking the fact that it's a name after like a failed TV series drama, whatever, about a whole bunch of rich kids that were living in the OC, the Orange County and stuff like that, and it launched their careers into the pretty much launched the careers of a bunch of people that fell right back into the goddamn ground. I mean, good Lord, I can't name anybody in the cast that's still in Hollywood in a prominent role. I can't, and I'm not knocking it, but anyway, to answer your question ultimately, Balor, I could totally see turning heel, and I think he should. I really think he ultimately should. I don't know when I don't know how they would do it, but it would not hurt Balor to get a fresh coat of paint like that. And also watch his, stuff from New Japan, when he was a heel. Great stuff. So, Abby VX asked me a question. Top 5 movies that need a sequel. Originally, I was going to say The Fifth Element, but that ship has sailed a while ago. I want Scream 5. Here's why I want Scream 5. I want them to kind of do everything that they've needed to do in Scream 4. And I liked Scream 4. But Scream 4 needed to be something about, reinventing and going with a newer cast and this kind of stuff and going in a different direction. And unfortunately, they didn't do that. And that was what was very disappointing to me. Excuse me. I really think that they should have gone that route, and they should have just done something better with it. Unfortunately, I don't know. I just think they should have gone better. They should have just gone with a better route, but they did not do the thing. Honestly, somebody said a sequel to A Quiet Place, and I don't know if they could do that because I don't know if they could capture the same damn magic. I would have liked to have seen a sequel to Valerian City of a Thousand Planets. Unfortunately, that one didn't necessarily work because the movie was not very successful. I'd like to see it. I don't think we're going to see it, but I would certainly like to see it. I wouldn't mind seeing a second Hellfest, but I don't know where else you go with that. I can't think of too many movies where I would want to see a sequel, only because they keep doing so many sequels, remakes, and all this stuff that I'm not sure there's anything that I wanted to see a sequel of that could actually benefit from, the sequel treatment without kind of doing a disservice to everything else. Now, I will say this. I wanted to see a sequel to Troll Hunter, as I thought they could have expanded even more on that universe and everything, and I would have liked to have seen that. But other than that, I'm just trying to think, and I can't think of too many sequels that I would like to see. And yeah, I know I just named a whole bunch of horror movies, but other than that, I hope I threw some out there, but it's like because so many sequels are already announced. Like I would have said Halloween 2018, well, they're already doing 2 movies of that. Companion pieces or sequels and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of out of the picture. I would have always liked to have seen, God, let's see. I can't think of any. I know it sounds kind of funny because I'm a movie buff, but I can't think of too many that I wanted to say, yeah, I need to see a sequel to that. I really just can't think of it. So, this might have to be a full-fledged topic that I might have to visit at some point. So I hope he gave you some teasers there. And by the way, Abby, I do want to say really, really quickly, there's also an announcement to every single one of you guys, because it's not like I can take the audio and just send it to her or the video. I will be doing, she came up with the inspiration for the top 50 least favorite horror movies of the last 25 years list I did, the 2-part series. I will be doing the top 50 favorite ones probably in the next, if I pre-record them at some point, I will try to put them up in the next, I don't know, week or 2 or something like that. I'll try to put them up before SummerSlam if I can. We will see, because I'm going to be very busy that weekend, so I'm going to have to pre-record a whole bunch of stuff like by the 5th, because I'm not going to have any time to do that afterwards. But I am going to be doing that list at some point. So I hope I answered your question, Abby. I may have to turn this into a full-fledged thing. DM me on Twitter or, tweet me. Maybe we can talk about this stuff and come up with a list, because I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. But anyway, at Belina WWE sent in 5 questions, and I told her to send in some. And again, you guys can send in more than 4, but I may not get as detailed on some of them. I may just be as detailed as I can on other ones. But thank you, Valena, for sending in the questions. Thank you guys so much for your great support. And Valena, you do ask some really good questions, as do all you guys. She is interested to hear what I have to say about the first question here. Since watching the Raw reunion last week, who were you most excited to see and least excited to see return during that reunion? I was least excited to see Hogan. That's pretty goddamn obvious right there. And other than that, I really can't think of anybody. I would throw Kelly Kelly in there, but Kelly Kelly never did it. She was put in there way too soon to just wrestle and didn't really know how to run the ropes. They gave her like so little training, just said, yeah, go out and do that. And she didn't know what the fuck she was doing. I've never been a big fan of Kelly Kelly, the wrestler, but nothing against the person. She was going to be on it, whatever. They used her in a role. It was fine. I was not excited at all to see Hogan. I know that other old-time wrestlers and, wrestling personalities, wrestlers and others, that were in wrestling, have made racist comments and made stuff in the past. Some have at least admitted that they were wrong, have tried to change their mindset and stuff like that, and not excusing that behavior. At least that's a start. It's a start to admit you were a racist or admit you said racist things and that you need to change that. Unfortunately, some have, changed for the better. Hogan is not one of those that changed for the better. Now, I say this. Some have forgiven him, and that's totally fine. I still maintain that he's only upset he got caught. And that's pretty much why I was not excited to see him there. As far as who I was most excited to see, I mean, of course I was excited to see Stone Cold Steve Austin, but again, then you got to go with what he's done and the wife beating and stuff like that. In the past, but still, wife beating, no excuse for that. Yeah, I'll always pop for Austin's glass breaking and stuff like that. I gotta be honest, I'm gonna go out of left field here, and I'm gonna say I was excited to see what the fuck they were gonna do with Candice, Michelle, and Melina. I was never the biggest Melina fan, but I do feel like as far as her skill level, she deserved a little better, quite a bit better than she got. She didn't really get featured all that well from 2010, 2011 until she was gone. Candice is somebody who should have been brought back sooner. I would have put her in the Rumble. I mean, I know she had a kid or kids at some point. I think she did. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know that she did have injuries that eventually led to her dismissal from the company or her release from the company. And that happens with everybody. But in that number of years, you couldn't have used her. And you brought back a whole bunch of other people. You put Sunny in the goddamn Hall of Fame, and you couldn't have Candice there. That's actually probably it. That's really about it there. Because, I mean, I just wasn't excited to see a whole bunch of legends in general. Just because I didn't think the show overall really benefited anybody. I thought it was pretty stupid. Just because I know it was a ratings grab and it didn't get all the ratings that they want. I guarantee you USA Network probably thought they were going to get about 4.5 million people watching, and it was 3.1, which is bigger than what they've been getting. And it went back down to, I guess, a 2.3 and stuff like that. Maybe I'm chiming on too much about the ratings, but still, you think all these legends were going to be, we're going to pop the ratings and stuff like that, because I didn't give a shit about seeing DX. I was actually really not excited about seeing DX at all. But Hogan right up there. And then DX, Hall Nash. To me, I mean, I popped for Ron Simmons coming. You know what? I was actually excited to see the Boogeyman come back. I know it sounds kind of funny because I hate the 24/7 title and I hate that kind of stuff. And people say, well, Boogeyman's comedy. Yes, he is. But also he's very dedicated to his gimmick. And I like some silly. I popped at his silly stuff in wrestling. So yeah, it wasn't exactly necessarily great, but I popped for him being there. And I'm going to go to a further question that you actually asked because it ties into Raw Reunion, but you asked, did you notice that WWE excluded Victoria from attending the Raw Reunion? Any idea why? I think you told me that she's not on the best terms with the company, and other people may have told me as well. If it wasn't you, I tend to mix up some things, because sorry, I talked to a lot of people, concussions, so, scrambled brains here, but I don't know why they didn't invite Victoria back. They, Melina had been outspoken against company and stuff like that. Jillian Hall was there. I'm not saying Jillian Hall had spoken out against company, but they brought back Santino. You brought back Santino, who said a whole bunch of stuff about certain genders and women and stuff like that and other things, and you know what I'm talking about. Look them up, because Santino, controversial comments. And they could bring back a known racist Hulk Hogan. They could bring back Steve Austin, a wife beater, but they couldn't bring back Victoria. I am not saying that Austin and Hogan and Victoria are on the same level as stars. I'm not here to presume that and say that, because I'm not going to fucking lie to you. But Victoria should have been featured at least a little bit. I mean, I'm sorry, you had Medusa there. I mean, Alundra Blaze. I still call her Medusa because she was better as Medusa. But you had her there. You had so many others there. And you couldn't find time to have Victoria there. One, they should have had Victoria in the Royal Rumble earlier this year. This is going to be her last year in the Hall of Fame, and I'm fucking pissed that they didn't have her there. I know it doesn't sound necessarily like I'm fucking pissed, but I'm trying not to yell as much because, quite frankly, yelling, A, hurts the microphone. It will hurt people's ears and stuff like that. But also, yelling just hurts my head. So I am frustrated with the fact that Victoria was not there. Maybe it's just bad terms with the company. Maybe they couldn't come to an agreement. Maybe they lowballed her on a goddamn deal. I'm not really sure. She might have had another commitment. I'm not really sure, but I am very disappointed that Victoria was not included, especially with what she meant for a period of years. 2002 to 2004, 5, she was pretty damn good. Now, yes, she was still good in the ring anyway, but then she was part of Vince's Devils and stuff like that and wasn't really featured in the ring, there was a stable that, hey, at least it got Victoria, Candice, and Tori Wilson on TV. They could have been used better, but hey, it was what it was. I just feel like Victoria, for all the stuff she did, and she did some pretty good stuff in TNA as well until they decided to make her a valet. She's still wrestling, and it just didn't seem all that great. It's like, if you're going to use these other women, and nothing against them, nothing against them at all, I just put some of them over. You could use Victoria, who is an incredible worker as well. So now we're going to get back to the other questions. So I answered your two questions right there, since they both kind of tied in with Raw Reunion. And now another question about a female wrestler that actually I just mentioned before. She asked, do you think Jillian Hall... Well, Valena asked. Jillian Hall did not ask me this question. That would be very weird. I don't know how I would get in contact with Jillian Hall. But anyway, do you think Jillian Hall was the most underutilized women's wrestler of all time in WWE? She was trained by Finlay and Lance Storm. Mickie James recently spoke out in defense of Jillian's ability. She's the epitome, meaning Jillian right now, the epitome of the modern day NXT star, or at least what her push was back then, who thrives in NXT but gets misused on the main roster. In this case, she was a star in OVW in 2002, 2005, but got extremely misused on the main roster from 2005 to 2010. I listened to, and Valena, I know you got your opinions on Jim Cornette, but hear me out here. I listened to a deep dive about OVW because Jim Cornette had a big hand in that, along with Danny Davis and some others. He mentions about Jillian Hall and has talked about her in the past, and says that, yes, she was young at the time when she came to OVW, but she had a lot of promise, and she had a lot of natural ability that they could draw out of her, and she got better. And then they just, put a mole on her face and did a whole bunch of other stuff and everything, and it was just really goddamn stupid what they did to her. Jillian had I've only seen very, very brief flashes and a couple matches of stuff she did from OVW TV, from like clips that I've seen, but she was very good. And when she was actually allowed to do shit on the main roster, you could tell she actually knew what the fuck she was doing. But yeah, would I say the most underutilized in the history of WWE? She's up there. I can't really think of too many that were more underutilized than her, that had the kind of ability she did and were just buried for absolutely no goddamn reason. But she is up there. She is at least in the top 5. She may be in the top 3. Because especially with what they were looking for in women back then, even though there were plenty of talented women, they would use Beth Phoenix, but then Beth Phoenix would kind of, just get marginalized and everything. She did suffer a broken jaw at one point and was unable to work for a while. I think she was brought into Melina's Heavy, and then got injured soon after, and then had to rehab that and get back into it. But anyway, there were too many models that were there that maybe had been trying their best, but weren't necessarily, worth the ring time they were getting. And then you had Jillian Hall, somebody that, I'm not saying Jillian Hall was going to be one of the best of all time. I'm not here to say that. But they gave her shit gimmick after shit gimmick after shit gimmick, and she did the best she could. I mean, you can only give somebody so much goddamn shit and not let them wrestle all that much in very short matches and everything, before it just gets to the point where nobody's going to take her seriously. I mean, they had her debut on the main roster. Her OVW run, again, was, what I saw of it was pretty goddamn good, and she had a lot of natural talent as she got better in the ring. First thing they do is put a mole on her face on the main roster, and then Boogeyman eats it off. What the fuck was that mole? It was stupid. It looked like congealed chicken and anything, or something you might see in a David Cronenberg movie, or whatever. But they did that. And then they had her as a wrestler, but didn't really let her win or do much of anything. She was women's champion for 5 minutes at one point? Women's champion or Divas champion? I don't remember. I think it was women. No, I think it was women's. But then they had her do the whole freaking karaoke gimmick and everything, and that pretty much killed her dead, which she may have been able to sing, she may have not. I don't know. I was happy to see Jillian Hall back on the show, because I was like, okay, good. She got a raw deal, I mean, pardon the pun, while she was there in the company. It just feels like, as far as somebody that was in the company as long as her, she's pretty damn underutilized. I would argue the Alicia Fox may be right on there, and I mean, I know you might appreciate that, because Alicia Fox was pretty goddamn underutilized, for a good portion of her career, anytime they seem to be doing anything, whether they just pull the rug out from under her or they give her terrible storylines. But they those would be two that would be right up there. But yeah, I'll agree with you about Jillian Hall. Maybe not most underutilized. I might not go as far as you, but I will say she was pretty damn underutilized. And it's a shame. I don't know if she could still go in the ring. I don't know if she still wrestles. I try to keep up on as many former talents, former WWE talents as I can. But simply, there is so much stuff in my brain. And sometimes I don't remember. I was excited to see Jillian Hall there. I really think it is a shame how she was used, misused, and everything, and not used at all in some cases. So, yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from, and it's a shame that she was not used a whole lot better. Third question, and this is actually the second to last question that she asked. What do you think the end goal is in this controversial Mike and Maria Kanellis storyline? Will Mike forever be a cuck, or will he grow a pair by the end of this? It's hard to watch. At least Maria's mic skills are redeeming. The thing that bothers me, I touched on this in a rapid fire that I did earlier today. And I mean, I talked about it briefly, but it's like basically, will he forever be a cuck? I would not be too damn surprised if they make him just be a completely whipped guy, which nothing wrong with being, a guy being subservient to his wife and taking care of his wife. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't like this spousal abuse storyline. I didn't like it when they implied it with, men doing it to women. I don't like when they're implying it with women doing it to men. Or women doing it to women, or men doing it to men. I don't like this stuff because I don't think it's good TV. And it's not. I mean, I know I asked that in a weird question. It's not good TV, is what it's not. Will Mike grow a pair? They could end up doing a whole heel dynamic thing, or maybe, Maria could see the light and realize, holy crap, I'm pregnant, or I suddenly have the kid. I need to not be a jackass to my husband. It's what she would be saying, and like I need to get him back. I really don't know what the fuck the end game here is. It's just when I first saw the whole damn thing, it's like they went from 0 to 60 on. Like Maria and Mike were so happy to be on Raw and all this stuff and everything, and it was great. And then Maria's just railing against him because she's pregnant and stuff like that. No, it's pregnancy hormones, which look, a woman carrying a child to full, another human in their body to full term is one of the hardest things to do. There are so many women I know that have had tremendous difficulties and that kind of stuff and everything. And okay, that really is neither here nor there, though. They make Mike seem like ridiculous, which, look, he was never going to be a world champion. Not going to imply that at all. But here's something I'm really going to touch on. Bottom line is uncomfortable TV, and I do not like it. And it doesn't do anything for anybody. It doesn't do anything for anybody involved, like in the, in the perimeter of it. It's making everybody turn to shit. As far as the rest of this, here is the deal with it. Mike is a former drug addict who has done inspirational stuff, as far as tweets and videos and stuff like that he's done. And, him and Maria have a kid. They could play on that stuff. Now, he's a very likable guy. Again, not saying he'd be world champion, but they could focus on that stuff. No, instead they're doing this and they're making it uncomfortable and they're dragging everybody down with it. And I don't know what the end game is, but I will tell you that if they do not get rid of this, if they do not do something positive with the storyline soon, and there ain't that many positives, it's going to horribly damage Mike and Maria. And also going to make Maria seem like is a freaking abusive douche, a douche-ive, if you will. And it's just not going to do any goddamn good. It's not going to do any good. And I fucking hate it. Now, so I totally agree with you. It's atrocious TV. It 100% is. Does nothing for either of them. And here is the final question. And this is where it's going to be a bit of a rant, but I'm going to overlay this. First, the question. Honest thoughts on Alexa Botch being this is the way she wrote it. Alexa Botch being overexposed for another fucking week on Raw and SmackDown. Fuck this preferential treatment. Sonya, Mandy, Liv can't even get a minute without Botch hugging up all the female segments. The one thing I will say, and I agree with everything that you're saying, WWE sees something in Alexa Bliss that I just don't anymore. I thought that Alexa as a character could work pretty damn well. The one thing I will say is that I did come to Alexa's defense, and it came to the defense of every single other woman that was in that four-way where the crowd was absolutely shredding them and everything and saying like, oh, this is awful and this kind of stuff and everything. And however I feel about Alexa's ability in the ring, Carmella's ability in the ring, I think Naomi's pretty good, all things considered. And I think Natty's terrific in the ring. However I feel about any of them in the ring, they did not deserve that treatment. That being said, Alexa has been injured more often than not. Now, wrestling is not easy to do. Some people's bodies, once they get bit by the injury bug, cannot take it anymore. Alexa's mic skills are pretty damn good. Now, I'm not going to say her mic skills are great, but her mic skills are a shit ton better than her wrestling ability. Is she absolutely awful? No. Is she great? No. I can't name too many good matches that she's had where she hasn't had to have been carried, and especially recently. Now, I'm not saying she deserves to be tossed around and thrown around everything and this kind of stuff and injured. Absolutely not. But pretty much from that Ronda Rousey feud, like right after that, it's been a constant state of flux where she's been featured and then not been featured at all. Because she can wrestle and then sometimes she can't wrestle and then this kind of stuff. But here's where the worms started to turn for me for Alexa Bliss. This year when, the Women's Royal Rumble, this kind of stuff and whatever, and the fact that she isn't very good in the ring. For as long as she's been in the ring, she is not very fucking good. She really fucking isn't. Now, this is as much on creative and Vince probably having a fucking hard on for another blonde, and that's not Alexa's fault. It's a dye blonde. She dyes her roots black for some goddamn reason. What bothers me most about this is the storyline with Nikki Cross has been absolutely terrible. I don't care if they're going to become a tag team. The women's tag team division is dead. Nothing against the Iconics, nothing against anybody that, is trying to make the division work, but creative doesn't fucking care about it. So the titles aren't going to mean anything anyway. And that was another thing that bothered me also. Because you had Alexa and Nikki taking up TV time on Raw. Okay. If you want to do something where you have Nikki defending Alexa's honor and this kind of stuff, okay. Alexa is always getting one up on so many goddamn baby faces, and it just doesn't work. Now, thankfully, she did not win in this Bayley feud, but that Bayley feud, that freaking feud with Bayley where they brought the whole thing out with Nikki, did not fucking work at all. And the reason it didn't fucking work is here's why. We don't want to see Alexa in a title match anymore. A lot of people don't want to fucking see it. Does that mean that Alexa is an awful person? I don't know if she's an awful person. Apparently, maybe she's rubbed people the wrong way. Maybe she hasn't. I don't know if those stories are true. Alexa, I'm sure, may actually be a nice person. She may be. But that doesn't excuse the fact that she's on Raw and SmackDown constantly. The Moment of Bliss stuff, that goes nowhere. They need to eliminate this talk show stuff. I'm sorry, they need to. This does not mean that they shouldn't eliminate it for the men because, Miz TV, that kind of stuff. They serve no purpose now. If they're out there, the sets take longer to set up and everything, with the ring crew going out there and everything, because I've been at this shit live. It takes longer to set this stuff up than the talk shows actually take. They need to drop that shit. Alexa is dragging Nikki Cross down, and she's dragging Raw down. Like, I'm sorry, Alexa in the ring is not fucking working anymore. Maybe they're putting her in a tag team because she can't have that many singles matches anymore, but let me just go to SmackDown tonight. Okay. So, actually go to Raw really, really quickly. So she, got injured and everything and couldn't compete against Becky, and then Becky beat Nikki Cross in another match, and then Alexa was miraculously healed and everything and whatever. Okay, if that had been the end of it, fine. They were supposed to have Sonya and Mandy versus the Iconics tonight on SmackDown. And they didn't fucking have that. And you know why? Because we needed to send Alexa and Nikki out there for some goddamn reason to face off against Ember and Bayley. Which I don't get because they're on Raw. This whole wildcard rule thing is fucking shit and I fucking hate it. Do I need to see Alexa twice a week? No, I really don't even need to see Alexa in the ring any goddamn more. That does not mean I want anything bad to happen to her. I do not want her to be injured. I do not want anything terrible to happen to Alexa Bliss. Let me make that goddamn clear. But she is not worth, in the ring, this push that they're giving her. Like, what the fuck has she done? What the fuck has she done? Okay, I mean, congratulations. She didn't have to retire due to, all the injuries and everything, which is a good thing because I was a little bit worried about that because they weren't really featuring her all that much. But she seems to be kind of made of glass. Now, there are others that are made of glass that keep being, featured and everything all the damn time. So, okay, whatever. That is what it is. But Liv Morgan, she's going through this whole character change thing. So, I mean, I don't expect to see her on TV at least until after SummerSlam. So, for another couple weeks. So, okay, cool. But yeah, Sonya and Mandy in the Iconics match gets scrapped. The Iconics apparently, I guess, just like left. They did something. I forget what the whole damn thing was that they put on WWE.com. But they announced that match, and then they couldn't do this because they had to send Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross out there. Fuck, say the Iconics are leaving, and Sonya and Mandy are like, we want a match. We're gonna face Bayley and Ember because it gives them something to do. But Asuka and Kairi Sane can't get on TV either. I mean, Mickie James is injured and hopefully recovers from her surgery. But yeah, Liv Morgan can't get on TV. Barely got on TV for like a little bit until she says, I need to show the real Liv Morgan. I need to make some changes. But nope, let's focus on Alexa Bliss, who it may be trying her best, but just simply is not up to snuff as far as what she can do, or as far as what they think she can do. As far as, her push and her ability, they don't match. Her mic skills are way better than her in-ring skills. And I am quite frankly sick of it. So that's a bit of a short rant right there, but it's just, it's fucking embarrassing. Because it takes so much away from so many other women. Oh, they aren't draws. I'm not saying Alexa doesn't have fans. She does have fans. She sells merch. So yeah, okay, I get that. But it's not good TV because it's not compelling. And she pinned Ember. Ember, who is facing Bayley for the SmackDown women's title in less than 2 weeks. Are they going to add Alexa and Nikki to the goddamn match? They probably are. Sweet Christ, we don't need to see that. It's annoying. It is really fucking annoying. I hope I did my best to answer your questions right there, but it's just, it is really irritating. So I am running out of time, guys. So I'm going to leave this right here. So if you do want to send in questions, once again, comments, find me on Twitter, that kind of stuff. Up to 4 questions. But yes, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I will see you soon.